Hi there, I'm Lebogang and welcome to Mzansibizness. In today's video, I want to talk about a rather interesting merger and acquisition that happened in South African history that ended up forming the company Heineken Beverages, South Africa. Home to South African beloved brands such as Savannah, Hunter's Dry, Bernini, and even the international Cruise vodka as part of its portfolio. So, how do all these liquor brands end up being under the Heineken umbrella? Let's break it down. Okay, so this story begins in the 1940s and it begins with a man known as Anton Rupert. He had already established a company known as Voorbrand Tobacco Company and was looking at expanding into the liquor business. He entered the liquor trade after acquiring two businesses, including a bankrupt Stellenbosch company, along with its equipment and facilities on the outskirts of the town. The new company became the Distillers Corporation. This new venture was heavily supported by Western Cape wine farmers who bought some of the first shares of the company. Speaking of the liquor trade, have you ever wanted to open a bar, a liquor store, or a tavern, but have been put off because of the complications of obtaining a liquor license? Or maybe you just want a liquor license for your restaurant establishment. Lucky for you, I got the hookup. The liquor consultant guy can help you or your business with all your liquor license needs. They do liquor licensing applications for on- and off-site consumption, so even if you wanted a catering or an occasional permit, they got you covered. They also do liquor license renewals and even transfers of liquor licenses. The company is available in 7 of the 9 provinces in South Africa, just excluding the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape regions. The alcoholic drinks market in South Africa has been experiencing significant growth in recent years, so one thing I know, there's definitely money to be made in this field. So, if you want to find out more information, please do contact any of these 2 numbers on screen. I'll also plug it in the description. And a huge thank you to the liquor consultant guy for sponsoring this video. Okay, back to the story. So Distillers is formed in the early 1940s and would list on the JSE in 1945. Its main focus in the beginning was to promote and market South African wine estates. It was at a time when imported wines were still the preferred choice for upmarket wine drinkers because they were regarded as more sophisticated than locally produced wines. It also saw an opportunity in the local brandies and spirits market. Please note, some of these brands that I'm about to list may not have been created by distillers, but will somehow come under their control. I'll elaborate further as I go along. Budweiser, or nowadays known as Dudemeister, was launched in 1948. Known for its smooth taste and exceptional quality, and over the years has scooped up awards such as World Best Brandy, which goes to show out here in South Africa we deal in exceptional quality. 1954, mainstay cane spirit was launched, and apparently it was a very popular drink of choice at the time and was once a top-selling brand. In 2013, they had unveiled the Mainstay 54 and Mainstay Fusion vodkas. Some in the 1960s, South African breweries would buy 30% of a company known as Stellenbosch Farmers Winery, expanding into the wine and spirits industry. Naturally, distillers were unhappy about this and tried to, but unsuccessfully, challenge this in court, arguing that SAB would use its monopoly position in the beer market to establish a monopoly over the wines and spirits industry. In 1964, Richelieu brandy is first produced in South Africa. Nowadays you get the entry Richelieu International, the Richelieu 10-year-old, as well as Richelieu XO, a premium champagne cognac. It too has scooped up numerous awards for its outstanding quality. 1965, a South African vodka is launched, Count Pushkin. It too has won multiple awards, including Best Vodka at the International Wine and Spirits Competition in London. Over the years, this brand would redesign packaging and launch new flavors. 1968, Distillers launched a premium wine, Fleur du Cap. Today it's available from anywhere from $150 a bottle to about $600 per bottle. 1970, Distell merged with a company known as South African Distilleries. South African Distilleries comprised of Castle Wine and Brandy Company, E.K. Green and Company, Van Ryn Wine and Spirit Company, and Henry C. Collison. These companies would form the Budweiser Group. From what I can tell, the Castle Wine and Brandy Company had the iconic Klipdrift whiskey under it. It was first made by a man known as J.P. Murray in his own backyard distillery on his Klipdrift farm, and that's where the name comes from. The Van Ryn Company had the Van Ryn brandies as well as the Viceroy whiskey. They would also form the Oudermeister Breweries so they could venture into the beer market. In 1972, Late Lager was launched by a man known as Louis Late, a former rugby legend turned entrepreneur who had even formed his own brewery, Louis Late Breweries. Late Lager bravely stood its ground in a market dominated by well-known beers and earned its glory. The Louis Late Breweries would follow this up with Kronenbrau 1308, and it was even the very first brewery outside of Germany to be prestigiously awarded a license to brew Beck's beer. Somewhere in 1973, Louis Late Breweries was sold to Oudermeister Breweries, which was owned by the Rembrandt Group, and was later incorporated into the company, the Intercontinental Breweries, ICB. Also during the 70s, this brewery, ICB, would bring American Colt 45 beer to South Africa. Colt 45 had 5.4% alcohol volume, 1.5% higher than any other beer in the South African market at the time. South African breweries caught wind of this and declared war. Within a week, SAB launched a completely new brand of beer called Stallion 54. And as you can tell, the similarities are quite unquestionable. I mean, the colors are the same, and shockingly, the name too. It is said that SAB did this intentionally to confuse consumers and to pretty much make Colt 45 unviable. ICB took SAB to court for trademark infringement but lost the case. The court ruled that there was no confusion between a stallion and a colt. At this time, there was also a hectic price war going on with SAB and this ICB brewery. They were both constantly dropping prices, which in the end was ultimately punishing on both of the company's profit margins, and market conditions were not conducive to competition at all. So it's said that somewhere in the late 70s, the government had to intervene, and a proposed rationalization program in which SAB would take over Rembrandt's brewing interests, so the ICB brewery, and SAB would limit its involvement in the wine and spirits market to only 30%. Remember, SAB held 30% of Stellenbosch Farmers Winery at that point, and also had stakes in a company known as Henry Taylor and Reese. A new company was then formed, Cape Wine and Distillers, CWD, in 1979. It would consist of SAB's pooled wine spirit interests that we just spoke about, as well as Distillers, KWV, and the Oudermeister Group's interests. The shareholding of this new company would be as follows. SAB would own 30%, Rembrandt 30%, and KWV 30%. The remaining 10% was sold to private investors. Shortly after, the Rembrandt Group and KWV pooled their shares in CWD in a joint holding company, Rembrandt KWV Investments. This restructuring effectively meant that SAB sacrificed its wine and spirit interests to CWD, or Cape Wine Distillers, in return for a beer monopoly. Okay, so I have to go back in the timeline a bit. I just wanted to make sure that I covered that whole merger properly. 1973, Drosti Hof is established. The history of Drosti Hof is closely linked to the De Oude Drosti, a historic building in Tulba, South Africa. And in 1977, the Three Ships whiskey brand is launched. Not created by distillers, but the iconic James Sedgwick distillery, which would later come under their control. Same distillery that launched the Sedgwick's Old Brown Sherry in 1916. The initial product was a blend of South African grain spirit and the Scotch malt whiskey, another South African brand that has won multiple international awards. 1982, House of J.C. LaRue is established, making it the first dedicated sparkling wine cellar in South Africa. In 1983, Amarula, an iconic South African brand, is first made, but it would only hit the markets in 1989. It's a smooth cream liqueur made from the delicious marula fruit. 2016, they would unveil a new bottle of the Amarula, and in 2018 would launch its first flavored cream liqueur with Amarula vanilla spice, followed by raspberry chocolate and African baobab flavor in 2019. They continued innovating and launched the Ethiopian coffee flavor in 2020, and in 2022 would do a whole refresh and brand identity with a new sleek look, and in 2023 launch an Amarula gin. Alright, let's talk about E-Spirit. First launched in 1984 as one of the first flavored wines in the South African market with 7% alcohol volume. The brand was relaunched in 1996 as a natural fruit ale with an alcohol level of 5% and 6 new fruit flavors. And in 2010, the brand was also relaunched again after being given a major facelift. And another packaging revamp in 2021. 1988, Hunter's Gold, a natural cider, is introduced in South Africa. This brand was not created by Distillers though, but by Stellenbosch Farmers Winery. More on that later. 1990, Bernini Sparkling Grape is launched. Initially, it was a 750ml bottle, followed by a can in 1993 and a 340ml bottle in 1997. New packaging and a range extension was launched in 2010, and another packaging revamp in 2021. In 1996, Savannah Dry Cider is introduced, or more affectionately known, Siavana. Today, Savannah Dry is sold in over 60 countries and it is South Africa's leading cider export. Savannah Light was launched in 2000 because the Savannah Dry was 6% alcohol volume, and that was quite a kick. They would also launch Savannah Dark in 2013, the limited edition Savannah Loco in 2017, as well as the Savannah Blackbeard, a rum-flavored cider. They'll drop the non-alcoholic Savannah Lemon in 2019, and 2020 Savannah would release Savannah Gin, a juniper-flavored cider, being the only one of its kind in the country. And in 2022, they would release Savannah Chili, along with the Savannah Can. 2023, they would drop a non-alcoholic version of the Savannah drink. And in 2024, Savannah Neat, a whiskey-flavored cider. Oh yeah, and I forgot about Savannah Angry Lemon. They dropped that in 2014. And whether you drink Savannah or not, unless you've been living under a rock, you've most definitely heard the tagline.
Savannah, it's dry, but you can drink it.
And man, don't get me started on their iconic ads.
Are those Jack Russells? No, they're mine. Savannah, it's dry, but you can drink it.
Hey, what do you make of this? What? The new Savannah Dark.
Hey.
You know, when it comes to taste, I'm in the dark.
Yes. It's very dark in there.
That might be the sunglasses.
Exactly.
So we spoke about Hunter's Gold in 1988. Hunter's Dry was first introduced in 1998 as a premium cider with a dry taste profile. Hunter's Dry quickly became a popular premium alternative to beer. Hunter's Extreme was released in 2002. They would launch the Hunter's Hard Lemon in 2003, and in 2012, Hunter's Extreme Zero is launched, a sugar-free version of the Hunter's Extreme drink. In 2013, Hunter's would launch the Extreme Bold with guarana, and in 2017, Hunter's Edge was launched. Pretty much the Hunter's cider mixed with the taste of real hops. This drink would be discontinued in 2020, and I'm not sure if it has since made a comeback. 2020, they would release Hunter's Chilled, a non-alcoholic version of the drink, and would also introduce another Hunter's variant, Hunter's Red Apple, followed by the non-alcoholic Hunter's Extreme Energy in 2021. In the late 90s, the Durbanville Hills wine is established, and in the year 2000, the Distillers Corporation merged with a company known as Stellenbosch Farmers Winery, forming the company Distell. Stellenbosch Farmers Winery was a producer and wholesaler of wine, spirits, and alcoholic fruit beverages within South Africa. As a leading wine producer, it boasted names such as Nederburg, Zonnebloem, Gracia, Chateau Libertas, and Plaisir de Mal. Its spirit brands included Mellowwood Brandy, Old Buck, a South African gin that has been produced since 1928, and the mainstay cane spirits that I spoke about earlier, as well as Romanov vodka. It had the distribution rights in South Africa for the Martell Brandy and Ball's Brandy, and was the market leader in the flavored alcoholic beverages market, with brand names such as Hunter's Dry, Hunter's Gold, Crown, Savannah, E-Spirit, Montello, and Manhattan. We spoke about some of the brands that Distillers had, but let's do a quick recap because there's some that I didn't cover. Ordemeister, Richelieu, Viceroy, Klipdrift, Harrier Whiskey, Count Pushkin, and Seven Seas Cane Spirit. The premium wines include Fleur de Cap that we talked about. They also had these three other wines. They had the JC Leroux brand, and Amaruda, Bacardi Breezer, Bernini, and Castello. Distillers also acted as a South African agent and distributor of international brands such as Gordon's Gin, Martini, Bacardi Rum, and Glenfiddich Whiskey. So, as you can tell, this merger formed a powerhouse in the liquor industry. In 2002, Klipdrift and Cola would first be launched, and the following year they would release Klipdrift Gold. In 2003, Distell became the first local manufacturer to move into the Brazilian wine market. It had secured a multi-brand wine listing with giant Brazilian retailer known as GPA, the biggest multiple grocers chain in Brazil. In 2004, Nederburg launched a brandy, Nederburg Solera Brandy, bringing back brandy to the Nederburg portfolio after almost 200 years. 2007, Distell concluded a joint venture with Burn Stewart Distillers to own and market Scottish Leader, Black Bottle, and Bunnahabhain whiskies in sub-Saharan Africa. They had outright acquired this Burn Stewart distillery though in 2013. 2009, Distell signed an agreement with FIFA to launch a special range of Nederburg wines and an Amarula pack that marks South Africa hosting the 2010 FIFA World Cup. They would also make a huge international purchase buying the huge Biscuit brand, but they would sell this brand in 2017 to Italian company the Campari Group in an 800 million rand deal. 2009, a South African whiskey, Bain's Cape Mountains, is launched, as well as a 4th Street brand. The 4th Street brand was created to appeal to new wine drinkers. Over time, new flavors were launched, the wine in a box, 4th Street Dumpies, and even a 4th Street Spritzer. In 2017, the Distell Group acquired a 75% stake in the Cruise vodka brand, and in 2021, Distell launched Wouter Hard Salsa. This exciting new product is a unique range of spirit coolers. It is vodka and sparkling water combined with natural fruit flavors. This brand was first launched in 2008 as a new premium pure sparkling spring water cooler. I want to talk a little bit about Namibia Breweries because it seems that they and Heineken have actually been in partnership for quite some time. Founded in 1920 under the name Southwest Breweries, the legacy of the Windhoek lager beer begins with this brewery. They acquired Hansa Breweries in 1967 that had the Tafel lager brand under it, as well as the Hansa draft beer, Hansa Export, and the original Hansa Pilsner. It is said that SAB had a stake in Southwest Breweries, so it was able to obtain the right to make and sell Hansa Pilsner under license in South Africa, which SAB would launch in 1975. And in 1990, they changed the name from Southwest Breweries to Namibia Breweries Limited, after Namibia gained independence, and in 1999 would introduce the Windhoek draft. In 2003, Namibia Breweries, Heineken, and global drinks giants Diageo form a joint venture, Brand House. And the following year, 2004, Namibia Breweries was producing Heineken in Namibia as well as exporting it to South Africa. Before this, it seems Heineken was imported internationally for it to reach South Africa. This Brand House joint venture really shook up the South African liquor industry, an industry that SAB pretty much had in a monopoly. Naturally, SAB wasn't too happy about its new competitor and they would lock horns a couple of times. In 2007, Heineken cancelled the license agreement that it had with SAB to distribute Amstel Lager in South Africa. This was a heavy blow for SAB. SAB had been distributing Amstel for over 40 years, but most importantly, they are the ones that marketed it and built it into the brand that it is today in South Africa. SAB promoted Amstel as a premium beer and even the reason it sold in a green bottle in South Africa. But when it sold in other parts of the world, it's in a brown bottle. It was also SAB's top-selling brand at the time. SAB had a problem when Brand House launched a new Amstel crate that was designed to carry 16 quarts instead of the typical 12. SAB said the promo material exaggerated the profits that the beer distributors would make selling this 16-pack case. On a separate occasion, Brand House complained about the Bigger is Better campaign that SAB rolled out for Black Label. I can't find any sort of visuals from this campaign because it's since been removed, but it said that the campaign contrasts Black Label, sold in a 750ml bottle, with the rival sold in a smaller green bottle. Also in 2015, SAB complained that the new look Amstel Lager cans were too similar to the Costa Light cans. Brand House were given a week to change packaging, but they would appeal this and they were allowed to keep this packaging. And this is just a few of the time these guys were at each other's throats. Like, this happened on a constant basis. 2008, a company known as DHN Drinks was established in South Africa to handle the marketing, sales, and distribution of the Brand House joint venture. In 2014, Namibia Breweries would acquire a brewery known as Camelthorn. It was known for being Namibia's first craft brewery that had the Camel Thorn brand under it. 2015, the brand house partnership gets restructured. Heineken and Namibia Breweries pretty much buy Diageo's stake in the joint venture, and these two companies would form a new joint venture in South Africa. The new arrangement would be fully focused on developing the beer portfolio and pretty much ending the brand house joint venture. 2015 still, the Namibia Breweries would also launch its King Lager beer as well as a non-alcoholic Windhoek in 2019. Namibia Breweries also manufacture these McCain mixes, this Aqua Splash Namibian sparkling and still bottled waters, and distribute the Fruit Tree Juice brand in Namibia. So, how do Heineken come in the picture? Heineken, an iconic brand established in 1873 with roots tracing back to the Netherlands. We know it first got set up in South Africa through the brand house joint venture, right? Around 2008, Heineken were planning on building its first brewery in South Africa, and in 2010, they unveiled the state-of-the-art Sedibeng brewery in the south of Johannesburg. 2017, Heineken also acquired two local breweries, Stellenbosch and Soweto Gold, and in 2018, bought a stake in Cape Town craft brewer Jack Black. In 2021, Heineken announced its plan to acquire 65% stake in the Distell Group. So, you know all mergers need to be approved by the Competition Commission, right? So in these hearings, Heineken said it would give up its Strongbow brand because it was feared that Heineken would control too much of the cider market if it had the Strongbow, Hunters and Savannah brands under it after acquiring Distell. By April 2023 though, Heineken announced the completion of the acquisition of the Distell Group and Namibia Breweries Limited, which have been combined with Heineken South Africa into a new Heineken majority-owned business, Heineken Beverages South Africa. Heineken already had the Sol brand on it, so they just added it to this already stunning portfolio. The merger was approved though, only on a lengthy set of conditions, but mainly that they had to keep the same staff for about 5 years and that they had to make investments into the country. And I'm sure you've been seeing like some of those Heineken future taverns. A company known as Cape Vin was spun out of Distell before the Heineken merger that took the brands such as Scottish Leader, Black Bottle, as well as the single malt Bannerhaven. This major purchase though comes with the sad reality that us as South Africans just lost one of our biggest distilleries to international investors. Not to mention that SAB has been under AB InBev since 2016. But yeah, Heineken has now announced its plans to set up a new brewery in Pietermaritzburg and pretty much wants to use South Africa as a launchpad into the rest of Africa. And that's a wrap for this video. Marawo, Heineken South Africa. I'm literally doing marketing for you guys for no pay, but I'm a simple guy, so I'll just invoice you 1 case of your premium Heineken beer. Just make sure Kirin Gotu and we good. Just a note, the channel growth has been crazy lately, so I want to send a big thank you to everyone who tunes in and everyone that has subscribed. It means a lot to me for real. Big shout out to the liquor consultant guy for sponsoring this video. I'm Lebogang. This is Mzansi Business. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.